Some of my friends put themselves through college by doing it.
Yeah.
No.
Call the meeting to order at 6:03 in San Francisco. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, there are some adjustments to the agenda tonight. The first one, 9.4, that's going to change. That is now going to be consideration of approval for the transfer of funds from transportation to facilities maintenance cost center for the construction of emergency egress and driveway. So the change there is that it's a transfer between cost centers and not from capital reserve. And we also have some addition or one more change. If you look at 9.1, that should read consideration of approval for pre-K to 5 principal and pre-K to 12 superintendent. And then 9.2 should say consideration of approval for 6 to 12 principal and pre-K to 12 curriculum coordinator. And then the additions are going to be under section 8. 8.1 will be nominations from first to second year probationary for Rowena Hathaway, middle school math, and Lindsay Richards, K to 12. PE.
Yes, you did.
All right, thank you. All right, approval of minutes for April 8th, 2021. Is there a motion for that?
Make a motion to
Amber,
approve the
thanks.
minutes.
Second.
Second.
Jenny, any comments? All in favor of approving the minutes for April 8th, 2021? I've got everybody in favor here. I've got one
I have to say that.
extension. She wasn't here, and I have it online.
Aye, Paul.
Paul. And then, is that all we have online? That's it, right?
That's it.
All right, so our motion passes. We have one abstention and everybody else is yes. All right, public comments. Anything in person or online? Nothing online? All right. Okay, fair comments. The first thing is the budget hearing is going to take place on June 1st. I'd like everybody to just to put that on your calendar now. We'll obviously need a quorum for that. We don't have everybody show up and then not get a quorum. We've had a good track record so far this year. I don't think we've had a single meeting where we've had to cancel for lack of a quorum. So we'll just try to keep that up. June 1st again is going to be the public budget hearing. The other thing I have, and I just want to kind of get a feel for the board members here. I was contacted from Dallas Plantation about the fact that the Connect Maine Authority are the ones in charge of broadband for the state, and they are currently trying to change the definition of unserved broadband in areas. Essentially what they're doing is, I'm going to put it here, Sean, if I mess anything up, you can back me up there. Right now, the speed is 25 megabytes per second. That's what they consider. If you're under that, you are in an unserved area. They want to increase that to 50 megabytes per second because essentially what they found out over the past year, especially, is that 25 is almost like having nothing. You can't do a lot of stuff that you would want to do. Currently, at the current 25, 76% of the Ranger Lakes region is considered unserved. We don't have broadband. If they increase that to 50, pretty much the entire place is going to be unserved. That's a good thing. We want that designation because what it's going to mean is that we'll be eligible for grants down the road to get a speed of at least 100 megabytes per second, which would allow all the things that we've had trouble with this year, would make it much easier. So this Connect Main Authority, what they're looking for is public comment right now, just to say, yes, we want you to change these speeds. So if everybody's okay with it, I will send them a public comment saying the Ranger Lakes Region RSU 78 School Board approves you trying to increase these speeds. If somebody is not okay with that, then we can talk about it, and I won't do that. Roanna? Paul?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for us to put input into this, and I agree with saying that we should support this. But just so everyone knows, there is a vote coming up in all the townships and the town to essentially start a conversation with Consolidated about putting in broadband. And what will happen is that the town will float a bond that Consolidated will be responsible to pay, and 100% of residents of Rangeley and the plantations will get fiber optic to their house. So it shouldn't stop us from doing this, but I think everyone should be aware of that and go vote for the agreement.
Yeah, Paul's exactly right. These are two separate tracks here of what's going on. The towns are trying to take matters into their own hands and consolidate it. And this would be something more along the lines of, if grant money is available from the Connect Main Authority, we would be eligible for that with the speeds that we're talking about. So Paul is right. There are two separate tracks here, and one does not do away with the other, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's just by making a public comment that we like what they're saying about increasing the speeds does not in any way affect what's going on with the towns trying to do the thing with Consolidated. Is everybody good with that? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the length of that. Chris, superintendent comments.
I have just a couple, but they're very important ones. Don't mind, because my glasses are fogged up. I can't see. I'm going to quote the governor. This past year, like any other, school nurses in particular across the state of Maine have helped adapt with grace and grit to protect the health of our children. The governor is recognizing in this year, 2020 to 2021, all Maine school nurses as school nurses of the year. So I'm proud to say that Lindsay Savage is a school nurse of the year. And the second one, every year, the counties of the state of Maine have a teacher of the year. And this year, lo and behold, the better half of the Liberty family, known as Michelle Liberty, or Shelley, as most people know her, is Franklin County's Teacher of the Year. And I think she should be the Maine State Teacher of the Year. But for now, I would proudly present Franklin County's Teacher of the Year. Would either ladies like to say anything?
Yeah, I definitely feel privileged that I can represent Rangeley and the teachers of Franklin County. We have an amazing team here, and I'm really excited to take this opportunity to show other schools and learn from other schools about what they're doing as well. So I'm really excited.
Congratulations. Lindsay?
Yeah. It's been a very challenging year, and obviously I'm thankful for the opportunity to use my profession in here to get us to where we needed to be and to make our school year work to the best that it could. And I just appreciate the support that I had in some of those tough decisions from the administrative team and the school board and the community. And yeah, I love what I do. Some days more than others, as with anything, but just thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to you as well. Final thing, I'm I would like to draw everybody's attention. You're gonna be seeing some releases from Maine CDC as well as the governor's office with regards to outdoor activities, indoor activities. I just want to make sure I caution you all to read those in total. For example, today we received one that deals with outdoor activities. But down the bottom, it says the DOE will be releasing the school guidelines. So that'll probably come out tomorrow. So schools are being looked at differently than general. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. The other is that you've probably heard about the American Rescue Plan and the money coming to school districts. I reported on that the last 2 board meetings. I'll happily report to you that we haven't moved an inch. There's a main joke about how do you get there from here, and they say don't move blank an inch. Well, the state hasn't moved an inch. We're waiting. Hopefully we'll hear something sometime in June. Their main DOE is still dealing with the federal DOE because the American Rescue Plan is a very detailed checkbox type of rescue plan that schools have to meet before the state can turn around and issue the check. So I wish I had better news on that, but that's that. And the last one is, again, good news out of the DOE. They're hoping that the state legislature will approve the governor's 55% recommendation for school funding, which would mean that school districts around the state would see more in state subsidies. So that's now at the legislative level, and we'll see what happens. So, a lot happening down in Augusta. A lot not happening. That's my comments.
Georgia, principal comment.
All right. Congratulations, ladies. We're very proud of you. So across grade spans currently right now, there are parent-teacher conferences happening. At the elementary level, our walkathon, our annual walkathon, we didn't have it last year, unfortunately, but this year we're going to have it, is scheduled for June 9th. Is that correct? Okay. And we also are having a book fair, which is scheduled for the 25th of this month. 4th grade is doing something very exciting right now. They're doing what's called a Wilderness Wednesday. And the concept behind that is to teach kids safe risk-taking outside, cooperation, teamwork, problem solving, planning and executing to create structures in the forest with forts and bridges, exploring, fine and gross motor development, respect for our environment, and reinforcing second step skills while they're outside. Let's see. In 5th grade, they are doing something kind of exciting around math. They're having a math fact practice competition, which builds on they actually build a Sunday as they learn skills. And then in the end, they get to actually have a Sunday. So it's kind of an incentive to get them to mastery level. Let's see, at the middle school level, they are having some conversation right now around having a virtual career day. The high school has started that. They started that this week. And they would like to do something similar. So they're having some conversations about that. And they're also talking about how to really acknowledge the 8th grade this year in light of all that they've missed out on. So they're putting some real forethought into that. And we'll see what comes of that. At the high school level, if any of you are looking for some community service to happen, our 10th grade class is doing some of that stuff now. So please reach out to Lindsay Richards, who is our PE teacher. Let's see, I just spoke a little bit about the career education component. And Mr. DeLudio, I guess, was our first presenter. And my understanding is that it was awesome. The kids loved it, so.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I think the adults liked it just as much as the kids.
Oh,
I was watching, I was very intrigued.
So
It was
awesome.
really cool.
There were kids with pages of questions for you, right?
Yeah,
Phenomenal
so,
job.
so we really appreciate you coming in to do that. That was great. And so there'll be a guest speaker, my understanding is for the remainder of the year, once a week. So we're excited about that. That's kind of an exciting new thing happening at the high school level. The National Honor Society ceremony is scheduled for the 28th at 1:30. And I am happy to, I'm very proud of this student. Autumn Sky Williams just won first place in the senior division of the National History Day contest in the website category. She is going to nationals. And her piece was called Propaganda, Technology, and Human Nature. And I really wanted her to maybe take a few minutes to talk about how she got to this place. So, go for it, Autumn.
First of all, congratulations.
So Miss Amami first introduced me to this competition because I'm in a class called Honors Research Methods, and I asked her, I really want to develop into my research skills and my presentation skills if I'm going to be a future engineer. So she introduced me to this competition called National History Day. It's a nonprofit organization that operates annually project-based contests for grades 6 to 12, and it affiliates with all 50 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, South Korea, China, South Asia, and Central America. And today there's more than 500,000 students that enter through local classrooms. This theme for this year of 2020 to 2021 was communication, the key to understanding. I had 5 different categories to present the research of my choosing for communications. It was documentary, exhibit, performance, paper, and website. And since I've already done the paper for Scholastics, I wanted to venture more into my technological skill sets. So I chose the website in the division of senior, which is high school, not middle school. As you said, I chose my topic off of propaganda, technology, and human nature. And I gladly won first place for it. Okay. So the criteria for the website was that it should reflect the student's ability to use the website design software and computer technology to communicate a topic's significance and history. The analysis and interpretation of the topic must be clear and evident to the viewer. The website should utilize interactive elements and draw the viewer in and actively engage the audience in learning about the topic. So the student should learn critical thinking, problem-solving skills, research, reading skills, and self-esteem and confidence. This is my home page where I have my thesis, a quote, and then the information I was told to give. The next buttons or bars. I decided to communicate best about propaganda and technology and human nature was the timeline progression through specifically American history, how the advancement of technology has created propaganda to strengthen from everyday newspapers to everything we see. So I did the World War I and their posters to commute for World War I. Second one I did was the Cold War, where I showed off other sources that promoted propaganda of the Cold War, such as the Red Scares as movies, articles, comic books, I also provided a little video that was duck and cover that was presented to schools at that time to prepare for it. I think the video will work.
I think so too.
It's a small video, it's really short.
Diddle-dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered. He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you, duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the National Education Association. Produced by Archer Productions, Incorporated.
And then I delved into more how our world is changing from propaganda around us when we go to work or when we're working on streets for us coming home. It's now in our homes, in our personal lives and everything. So this is where I delve into more about participatory propaganda and subset peer-to-peer propaganda, with now instead of a government or a higher power giving propaganda to just a class or an audience, now people alone can pass propaganda and strengthen it in numbers because now we're all a user on the internet. But along with that, for propaganda, it has changed our whole psyche in our environment around us. Now, instead of talking to people and being like, hey, I don't agree with this, I want to talk it out. Relationships, now people could just block, report, whatever, and never have to see them again. So it strengthens our argument skills, but it also blocks us from personal connection and putting internal conflict on a daily basis. And I showed some examples of conflicts nowadays with the Black Lives Movement, problems in the military, and such as Proud Boys who have problems with homosexuality. This is my conclusion where I delve into more of the psychological impact of mediated propaganda on the individual's critical thinking skills. And I provided future insight of what researchers, scientists, and others can do to help possibly make more people well aware of the propaganda they're programmed to and how they can look out for it. But along with that, what can technology do to help them? Can they censor? Can they put like flags that says false information? But then that goes into the topic of free speech. And do people truly want to know the truth? And then this is my annotated bibliography and process paper.
Thanks a lot for taking the time to do that.
Is there something that we can go online and see this and read it?
Yeah, I could send the link. Who would I send the link?
Yeah, we could put it on our website, Autumn, or we could send it out on our Facebook page.
Not just yet, I'm editing it for the national, so there's gonna be some edits, so I can still send it.
Okay. I'm happy to say that Autumn is one of my advisees too. So I'm proud moment for me. I just have one more thing to report out on it, if there isn't any other questions.
I was just one short.
Sure.
On the news the other night was a news report on young kids helping seniors figure out what was well, evaluate the truth on the computer. And they actually went, I don't know where they met or what they did, but they sat down with them and the kids were able to fairly quickly provide them with the kind of information that would help them figure out on a website. It might be a project that could be, you know, done between kids, because it's nice to get the seniors in the school or have them communicating together.
All right, so one more thing, Mr. LaLiberty and myself were invited to the Stratton School, I guess it's called the Flagstaff School now, to present to their board what the Rangeley school system, what sets us apart from other schools. As you know, they have, or you may not know, they have school choice there. So their high school can opt to come over our way. I feel really good about the presentation and the information that we brought to them. We'll continue to have conversations, I think, because we would love to sort of partnership a little bit more, professional development, and just lots of different ways that we could partner up with them a little more. There are some variables that we need to work through with them. But we'll keep working on it. But at the very least, they got to hear about Rangeley School and how wonderful we are. That's all I got.
Any comments in your student rep capacity?
Yes. So I believe it was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, the boys won their last game with Valley for 33 to 3-2. They did a really great job, basically. I was there for the first game. They were on fire. And softball also faced against Valley away, not home, and they lost by 0-4. But they're still going strong.
All right. Committee reports. Kathy.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
You can't forget the other half
Oh.
of these. That's coming before.
Oh, go ahead, Seth. I had you in the team leader coming up. Is that
Either way, yeah, I mean,
you're off my No, that's fine. Yeah.
okay, yeah, so I'll go now. Just the team leader stuff. Right now, we've got testing, our spring assessments are underway. Middle school is pretty much done. High school is doing okay. Some makeups to do. Yep, K through 2 is going to start a little bit later on, but we're doing our spring assessments. It's kind of crazy because for 3 through 8 and 11, it's our state assessment for the new years, and everything's crammed into May. So we're doing all the math ELA assessments, the spring, the science assessment opens on Monday, and that's grades 5, 8, and 11. So we have to get that in. That's another 200 minutes of assessment, and it's going along. Meridian, Sean, we have the Atom app loaded onto all the machines. We've got our classes, all our students are in there. We had like one student that they missed. That's all taken care of, which I was impressed. They're really throwing this together last minute. I actually thought they'd throw in the towel because we're right at the buzzer, and this is still getting kind of planned. So that will start next week. So that's a lot of time that's devoted to that, because usually it starts in March. The math ELA piece will happen in March, science in April. So it's not all just right like in 3 weeks. So it's kind of a little bit hectic there. At the planning level, the K through 5 team are using our Wednesdays. We're planning for next year. And they're really they're looking at the data, and they're right now, or last week, we're in the process of breaking students out to see where they kind of lie as far as benchmarks go, to see what we have to do next year when we begin to kind of meet the students' needs. So there's a lot of work going into that. 6 through 8, we met, talked about schedule, and yesterday we had a great meeting. We called it visioning. We have some change happening with our son. We have a new science teacher coming in. They think it's a good time to look at what they do, what we might want to do different. And what's really coming out is like an interdisciplinary experiential learning going on. And we're going to start slowly, might try 1 unit next year. See how it goes, see does it increase engagement? Do kids really bite into it? So that's kind of exciting. High school is looking at scheduling 2 for next year, kind of structuring our win time. It's kind of like a 40-minute period during the day. We're looking at offering some different things. And I did ask them to kick around the idea of doing an interdisciplinary project. And they talked about it, they had a good discussion. It's a lot to ask of a team, you know, that was a big ask. And what I wanted them was to talk about it. If we were going to do this, when would it happen? What would it look like? And what would you need from myself and support, you know? So we talked about some extra days, maybe in the summer to plan it. But I'm pretty excited. And, you know, it's kind of some schools do this. And I think it really, especially if we reach out into the community, I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but just to see, does it increase that engagement and the students' enjoyment of school? I was talking to some, you know, school, especially this year, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And if we can start maybe thinking of some things to break that up, like project-based stuff, I think it would not only maybe be a fresh thing for the teachers, which it is a lot of planning, so we got to be committed to giving the time, but for the students as well. So I was excited about those conversations going on. And then finally, we are planning a fun day on the June 14th for K through 12, working closely with Joanne from the Rangeley Health and Wellness. She kind of grabbed onto the K through 5 kids. I think they're planning a carnival day. She's got, you know, some volunteers that are going to come help and just have a really nice day for the kids. I think they have a performer coming, and you know, there's a lot of funding help. They've been great with some of these projects of helping us with that piece. High school, I talked to the student council. They want to have a field day. And since our seniors are going to be gone, I think we're going to bring the 8th graders up to take part in it. And it's going to be like a competition. There's going to be outdoor stuff. Like I call it mind and muscles, you know, like we're going to use our mind to do some of the activities, and then we'll have some sport events, and the kids are like really excited about it. And I was like, you know, when I did it at school, it was a competition, and that like brought it, you know, like I think my senior year, Shelley's class was a junior class, and they beat us. That was not okay. But no, they're really excited. And so that kind of left our 6th and 7th graders. So I've been working with a team, and I think we're planning like an off camp, like a field trip, like just a fun day to do. We're kind of looking at like a disc golf and then maybe something else just to get them away and having fun. So yes, that's where we are. Just wrapping it up. I mean, we are like, we have no time left, really. I mean, we got a month. That's going to go fast. So a lot packed in. It's May mayhem. Yeah, that's where we are.
All right, thanks, Bill. Yep. Anybody got anything for Seth or George or anything? Questions, comments? All right, Kathy.
Well, we did not have a meeting in May. It's one of those things, nobody could come. So there'll be a meeting June 2nd. I hope everybody can come. Got a lot more work to do. So that's policy.
All right, thanks, Kathy. Finance, which is sent prior to this. Latest financial statement, everything looks like it's in order as far as this year's budget. The expenditures are in line with what we would expect. There's some savings in some areas due to COVID-related stuff, specifically in transportation and some special ed. So that brings up some things. And one of the things is earlier this year, I don't know if you remember, we approved the transfer of $75,000 out of student staff support reserve fund to fund the behaviors. It looks like that's not going to be, potentially not going to be necessary. Sheila's keeping an eye on it, which would mean we can just use leftover money in this year's budget and not have to tap into the reserve fund, possibly. So we're going to keep an eye on that over the next month. The latest ESER for E number 3 that the superintendent spoke about already, we went over that, and all the other money that's been coming from the federal government. ESER 2, the one prior to that, most of that is being held to use for the next school year, not this school year. And all the others that came out prior to that, as far as coronavirus relief funds, have pretty much been allocated for this school year. We're going to talk later. It's 9.4 is an action item, but the finance committee, I'll let Jenny talk about facilities, but is going to recommend that we use excess funds left over in this budget year to construct an emergency egress over the current bike path that is coming out of the back to school. We'll talk more about that as we get to the action item. finance. Any questions?
Brian, just a quick question. With this new piece of legislation that's come out, and I know the state is still is discussing how they're gonna allocate that. It seems logical that that's gonna be applicable for next school year. Is that correct? Yes.
That's the 279 or the federal?
The federal.
The federal will actually be for the next 3 years.
Also, it will
It
stand on
has,
the
it has a sunset of in 3 years, where the E1 is done, or done at the end of this year, school year. E2 next year, E3 would go 2 years beyond that.
And do we have any sense at all of what that dollar figure looks like?
For the E3,
Yeah, based on what we've historically received.
I'm looking at
410,000. 410,000? Thanks.
All right, let's see, Jane, somebody.
Jeff reported that they have been working on the fields out back, getting them prepared. And also they painted the sign, I didn't notice it, but community service kids did the painting on the signs. And they're considering doing, I think it's the room over here, splitting it into 2 rooms because it has a door here and a door that comes through the special ed. And it would be easy to really have 2 smaller spaces up there. That'll probably be done this summer. And let's see. And right now he's having a little trouble making summer plans because it's not sure where the furniture is going to be, the desks or tables, and until that's going to be a major project. The state you mentioned is going to be making some announcements about it, but hopefully they'll make it a little easier for us. We also actually had a meeting this afternoon earlier, but I reported at facilities between the playground group, and you've seen, there's a book over there that Sonia has put out. You can take a look at it. And she reported before, they're hoping, and I reported last time, the grants that they've looked at are more about programming, not for actually building structures. So we're looking into some other ways that we can get money for building structures. And what's interesting, it's the playground group and the legacy group. And the legacy group spent, the last couple times when they were meeting a year and a half ago, talking about the same thing, using the playground as a classroom and really providing a lot out there that isn't there. The legacy group can help, that's our goal, to raise money. That's what the purpose of the legacy program is, to raise money for school programs. So we fit together, we kind of pick up the pieces where their ideas stop. And the curriculum picks up, and there is a piece of the curriculum. What we're really talking about is a community, creating a community classroom. In other words, we have the playground as a classroom, but the whole community can be a classroom. And what is reflected in that classroom is the outdoors. I mean, so many of our careers, so many of the things we do concentrate on the outdoors. So it'll be interesting, a couple comments today about curriculum in, it can be, 4 or 5, all the way up through high school, looking at what the community has to offer for kids in terms of careers. In other words, they could do that career here in Rangeley, but they could do it anywhere. For instance, forestry. Lumbering, and in terms of forestry, I was thinking of game wardens, things like that. But community members can help them figure out ways that we have people that do golf courses, careers that kids can see are real things that reflect the community. And really trying to work with the curriculum that's already here, but move it into the community. So that was part of what we talked about. And then the last thing is that second egress. And we are going to talk about that in terms of budget. But right now, what's happening out there is M&H will be in fairly soon to finish preparing the school path to have it, and it's gonna be 10 feet wide, and it's only for traffic going one way or the other in case of an emergency. It wouldn't be used at all on a regular basis. And after they prepare the ground, they're going to, the plan is to actually tar it also so that it can be a safe exit for school buses only, basically, at this point. Right now, it's being surveyed to see where the road actually should be, and we're moving along pretty well with that. We would start the beginning of June and hopefully be finished by the end of June. So, but we'll talk a little bit more about that money when we get to the article about spending.
Yeah, I want to make clear that there's been no money spent. It's transparent. The things have been set in motion to allow it to happen before the end of this school year. There's been no money spent. At this point. All right, Chris, appointments, resignations, and nominations.
I think we missed the negotiations.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary.
That's okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. We've been meeting regularly and have been able to find a great deal of common ground between the two groups, which is very encouraging. We had a meeting scheduled for the 12th, which was yesterday, but due to an illness, we weren't able to get together. So we're planning on meeting on the 19th and then again on either the 24th or 25th. We're beginning to get into the nitty gritty of pay increases and those kinds of things, but so far things have been moving along very smoothly. And I would like to just add, I really appreciate Chris's leadership in this project, because he's been very helpful to guide the committee in the right direction.
Thanks, Chris.
We have two nominations we'd like to bring forward tonight. Both first-year probationary, moving up to second-year probationary. Lindsay Richards and phys ed. And I always heard her name, Rowena. I know, halfway.
I'll forgive you.
What's that?
I'll forgive you.
It's one of those things, once it's there, it never changes. Just like I knew that turtle song when I came on. Duck and cover, right? And then Ms. Hathaway, see, I got away with that. In math at the high school.
All right, is there a motion to approve the nomination of Rowena Hathaway, middle school math, to go from first to second year probationary? Mary, second. Kathy, any discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous, Paul. Motion passed.
Yes.
Congratulations, Rowena.
Thank you.
And then is motion to approve the nomination of Lindsay Richards for the K-12 PE to go from first to second year probationary.
So moved.
Debbie? Second. Kathy, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, motion passes. Lindsay, I don't know if you're online, but congratulations if you are.
Can I just make a quick comment?
Yeah.
So both first-year teachers to start during this school year, you know, Rowena's done an amazing job. She has a demanding schedule, meeting all these needs, and just, I want to give her kudos. Miss Richards coming in late. We had a teacher leave. She came in for a month, had a
Yeah.
baby, and then wouldn't stop working. Kept helping, you know, we had people in place here do it. She kept helping. Now she's back and just, she's really taken the program and done a good job with it. So just say both were good hires, and they did a really good job this year under very hard circumstances. So I just want to say that.
All right, on to action items. The first one, consideration of approval for pre-K to 5 principal and pre-K to 12 superintendent George Campbell. There a motion to approve Georgia Campbell as the pre-K to 5 principal and the pre-K to 12 superintendent. So that's Mary. Is there a second? Debbie, any discussion? All in favor? All,
Aye.
that is unanimous, motion passes. Congratulations, Georgia. Second one, 9.2, consideration of approval for 6 to 12 principal and the 3K to 12 curriculum coordinator, Seth for Liberty. Is there a motion to approve that? Yes, second. Kathy, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous, Paul?
Aye.
Unanimous, motion passes. Congratulations, Seth.
Thank you.
Both of you, well deserved. We can clap. All right, I'm sorry.
I forgot one thing from my report, and that is our next meeting with on the playground is actually gonna be on the playground. It's gonna be a week from Monday, 4 o'clock, and inviting the community people in to actually see what we're planning and what's there already. So I'll send something out to school board too, if you can come by and see what they're planning to do. And they've got a lot done already. So Monday, 24th, 4 o'clock.
I'll change the order of these last two. The 9.4, we'll go with that one first. This is consideration of approval for the transfer of funds for the emergency egress from capital reserve. I'll explain that before the motion, and Sheila, whoever, if I mess something up, please correct me. There is money left over this year in the transportation cost center because there hasn't been as much of that due to COVID this year. As a result of that, the facilities committee has been discussing for the past few months the potential to turn the current bike path into an emergency egress just for buses in the event of an emergency and the other exit is blocked for some reason. The school currently owns that property, so there's no buying of land or anything like that. And the bid, I'll let me give you the motion, I'll give you the exact amount, but it's about $55,000 to prepare the ground and also to pave it. And that money is available from transportation. That would have to be moved to the facilities maintenance cost center. It needs the board approval in order to do that. So that's what it's for. So the motion is to approve the transfer of $55,000, $55,026 from the transportation to facilities maintenance cost center for the construction of the emergency egress driveway. Is there any motion? I saw Kathy first, and second we'll go with Mary. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Unanimous, Paul?
Aye.
Unanimous, motion passes. Thank you. Yeah. All right, the last one I have, this is now 9.3, the budget warrants that we need to approve and then sign. I gotta read this whole thing, so stand by. The motion is, I move that the vote entitled vote to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and a budget validation referendum and authorize the notice of amounts adopted be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting. Vote to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and the budget validation referendum and to authorize the notice of amounts adopted. Voted that the warrant for the regional school unit number 78, the regional school unit budget meeting presented to the meeting be approved, and that a regional school unit budget meeting be called to June 1st, 2021 for the purpose of voting on the annual budget for the regional school unit for the 2021 to 2022 fiscal year. That the warrant and notice of election for the regional school unit budget validation referendum presented to the meeting be approved, and that a regional school unit budget validation referendum be called to June 8, 2021 for the purpose of approving the budget adopted at the regional school unit budget meeting for the 2021 to 2022 fiscal year. That the form of notice of amounts adopted at a budget meeting presented to this meeting be approved, and that the superintendent of schools of the regional school unit be authorized and directed to complete said notice in accordance with the regional school unit budget meeting on June 1st, 2021, and to cause copies of said notice as completed to be delivered to the municipal clerk of each municipality of the regional school unit for posting at the polling places for the June 8th, 2021 regional school unit budget validation referendum. And that the budget meeting warrant, the warrant and notice of election, and a notice of amounts adopted at budget meeting shall each be signed by a majority of the school board, and that such signatures may be made electronically by execution of counterparts or in person at the convenience of the members of the school board. I just made the motion. Is there a second? Mary? Any discussion? All in favor? In the room, unanimous, Paul?
Aye.
Unanimous, motion passes. All right, so now we have, Sheila has done us a tremendous favor. I don't know if you remember in times past, we had to sign about 80 pages. I think we have 5 to sign, is that right? 5, and then Sheila has to make copies and sign 80 pages after that to say that we signed it.
So if you can sign in the same line, once you choose the line, sign in the same spot for all of them.
You just, I'm gonna
So
just.
you just sign
this.
on this line, and then on the next one, you'll have
So I only sign the top.
only the top ones, and then you're certainly welcome to look. See what you're signing. The first one is the warrant, and then these next 4 documents are also warrant documents, but there's one for each of the plantations in the town of Rangeley.
Abby, we are only a quorum including Paul, is that correct?
We have full floor.
Right, but Paul,
Yes.
okay. So Paul, if you can hear me, will you be able to get in here between 8 and 2:30 tomorrow to sign these?
Yes, I should be able to.
Thanks, Paul.
Now, yeah. I've done it. Yeah, if I could do it with that. Yeah. Once you get into it, just click on it. Well, it actually came up when I was going into something else. And I thought, well, I'll try to get back to the other page, but maybe.
I could help.
You rescued me. If you want to bring your device in,
Yeah, I
John
could
can
help.
go over it with you. Okay.
Yes.
And, yeah, you can hit the icon like the address. And then you can just slide the meeting down. You just click on the first letter, email it, you just pull it right out. Yeah.
Of the person that you trying to send to. Well, yeah, come in, bring in your device. If you want to put it in the school, like. Yeah. Where are you? I'm in the high school wing across from, yeah, across from the special ed room. Yeah.
I'll put you on the wait list, I'll call you right back. 30 minutes to call back. You guys still on this week?
Yeah. That's it.
There's a motion to adjourn. Yeah, motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Meeting's adjourned.
Yeah, but I could have had it on my phone.
What's that?